Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Today we have Stacy Shepard. Stacy runs a nonprofit called The Good Shepherd. Her last name is Shepard, as you heard.
From watching the dogs interact, there's a leader, right? There's an alpha. There's a shy one. There's a comic relief, right? There's a class clown. There's the voice of reason. And again, we know dogs so well that we can kind of gauge it. So that's how we even put the dogs together for an encounter. Is we'll say, okay, we got to have Elvis. He's going to set the tone. We got to have Willie. He's a gentle soul. We got to have Teddy, the Shih Tzu. He loves an old lady in a wheelchair. It's probably his favorite type of human. We got to have Benson. He's a mini schnauzer and he's business casual. He looks really, really official all the time with his serious eyebrows, his schnauzer eyebrows. He's always a showstopper. So we're putting dogs together based on them and the way the dogs like to work with each other, based on where are we going. We're going to Waymakers and we're going to meet a district attorney. We're going to meet law enforcement. We're going to meet social workers. Who exactly is going to be there and what can we kind of anticipate what the interaction with the experience might be like. At the end of the day, they're dogs and, things can always go a little bit differently than what we're expecting, but we try to take as many of the variables, as much of the mystery out of it as we can. Keep everybody safe, keep the expectations to kind of what we're thinking they're going to be.
So how many dogs do you have that you work with? Like, totally. I mean, you got 30 dogs that you choose from or 12 dogs? I mean,
yeah. So I would say out of 150 dogs a week that we encounter through the walking, the training, and the other services that we provide as the business, out of those 150 dogs that we see a week, I would say 15 of them we would consider eligible and trusted enough and the family open to it to do this kind of work. Basically, every time we ask, every time we'll call up and say, "Hey, we're gonna be meeting with
Elvis
kids.
too. Can we take Elvis too?
Can we bring Elvis? On Saturday? Can we walk him on Friday? Can we just keep him overnight and take him with us on Saturday?" The family is more than happy.
Because I think people may have this in the audience could have this question. So let's say they wanted to hire you. I mean, just changing gears here for a second. They wanted to hire you to walk their dog. Is that you come pick the dog up? Is that how that works? That's
the pack walking service. Again, Monday through Friday, we have vans. We have 2 vans currently. Okay. We'll probably need another one pretty soon.
Hopefully.
But, we have two big cargo vans and we'll go and we'll pick up the dogs different days. We're in different areas on today. Today's a Monday. So we're in Placentia and Yorba Linda. And we pick up the dogs in big groups, just like the school bus coming to pick them up, walk them in big packs. And the dogs are they're so excited to come. Some of them wait outside on the porch for us and they don't come to the van until we call them. And walk everybody together for about an hour. And it's not a fast walk. It's a controlled walk. And where there's so much training that's going on. It's more of a mental exercise than a physical exercise. And then most of the dogs will go back home to their own homes. They'll get dropped off back at home. Most of the time, the clients, the families are at work. They're not even there. So we get in with keys and codes and the dogs know us well enough that they trust, to come with us.
Sure,
we're not kidnapping them. So that's how the walking service works. And so every time we take in a new dog into that environment, we can see if there's therapy potential or if there's elite purple pack potential in the dog. And then we'll kind of start that conversation. We'll say, it was great having Cash. We think Cash has potential.
Cash is the name of the dog.
One of the dogs, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the names of the dogs, Darryl. We don't care about any of the human names at all. That's how we know all of our humans are. That's Cash's mom. That's Sammy's dad. That's how we know. And some of these people are super important, like chiefs of surgery in different places, mayors and, high-level attorneys and different things like that. But we don't know and we don't care because we only care about the dogs.
Is there typically, is there like a leader of the pack? I mean, normally, are you the leader of the pack or the dog walker the leader of the pack?
So in a pack, when we do this work through the foundation, the human is the alpha, the handler, the trainer,
got it.
Who's bringing the dog.
And that has to be established, right?
Yes. And so not everyone who wants to, for instance, we're hiring right now and these, we had some phone calls. Oh, I just love dogs. I would just love to to walk dogs. That sounds like so much fun to be outside in the fresh air and walk dogs.
Right.
Well, you got to bring your pack leader energy. You got to have your shoulders back. You got to show the dogs that you're the boss. I mean, of course, with kindness, there's a lot of love
Sure.
going between us and the dogs.
You have to speak their language.
Exactly. But the dogs will smell your fear. If you don't have that alpha energy, you're going to have a tough time of it. So you really got to have yourself together, which also takes us back, Darryl, to the way these dogs interact and the energy they bring into a space, and how we can work with people who are like, they're having a bad day. They have a terrible story. They're in a lot of pain. But in this moment, when we bring the dogs to interact with them for 1 hour, they can forget about that. They can tap into whatever confidence they have left, or whatever, positive energy they got buried in there. You got to find it, because Elvis and Willie and Parker Lynn and Nugget and Teddy Benson, Rudy, those dogs are counting on you right now. And that's what we tell the kids on the spectrum. Even we've got some kids, they don't really like to talk outside of their own homes. They're pretty quiet, but you got to say, good job, Elvis. You can't just hand him a treat. So it really pulls a lot of positive characteristics out of the person because they've got a responsibility to the dog in that moment. And it really, being in a pack environment gives the dogs more confidence, but it also gives the humans more confidence, the humans that are interacting with the dogs, I would say. So that's the magic that we've seen as we're growing these programs and growing this concept. And it's made us more and more curious why this isn't happening anywhere else. I wish it would.
So what do you think people most misunderstand about therapy dogs and what you're doing?
For right now, again, like I said, no one else is doing this exact work with these groups of dogs, with the pack. So people will very oftentimes will mistake service dog for therapy dog, or they will discount the impact of a therapy dog. And they'll make a comment like, oh, well, every dog's a therapy dog, right? I mean, my dog gives me therapy all the time, which is absolutely true. Dogs are comforting and therapeutic just by being alive, right? God gave us these creatures and to be man's best friend, and that they say that for a reason. But I think that that's probably one of the misconceptions is, the service dog aspect. Service dogs are trained for a life of service. They're trained to do a task, right? Find your keys, predict your seizure, tell you, bark at you to take your medication. You can train a dog to tolerate and to perform that service. The therapy dogs and therapy work, this kind of work, and that's what I'm saying about how we have relationships with these dogs. The dog has to really want to be there. You can't train that into the dog. And so when people ask, can you train my dog to be a therapy dog? We got to have a conversation with the dog. And so that's why I say that out of 150 dogs we walk a week, about 15 of them,
10%.
Exactly. About 10% of the dogs that we know personally would not only be able to do this, be able to go to a group home and behave the way we want them to behave and interact with the pack, in an impactful way, but the dog needs to want to do it. We took a dog one time, very, very sweet dog, very well trained, extremely well behaved, to a senior living facility as a first try. And she enjoyed being with the pack. And she, of course, absolutely enjoyed being with Isabella, her trainer, her teacher. But she didn't necessarily gravitate towards the seniors, towards the residents. She was just kind of looking, we could just tell she was kind of looking around for, when are we going to play ball? What are we doing? Just all sitting around. So,
Right.
So that dog, we would use her again for, like I said, a dynamic encounter outside with active teenagers, or maybe just a demonstration if we're doing just kind of a demo, agility demo or something for a group, just as a cool thing to do for exposure. We would use the dog for that, but we could just tell that she didn't love it. And we want the dogs to love it. That's the other thing, Darryl, is we are always advocating for the dogs. We are dogs first. The dogs are absolutely our priority. So they need to be safe. They need to be comfortable. When they start to get droopy and get tired, and we can tell after about an hour, the dog's kind of done.
This is completely out of the blue, just because you were talking about how much you love dogs. This is about the dogs. I've got this great event. I did a pet expo in Brea. I've got it's one of the
you were there? We were there at the Pet Expo.
Oh, right. Well, we were, we have the most popular shirt. I make shirts for promotional, but for advertising. And the most popular shirt I have is I Love Dogs. I'll have to get you an I Love Dogs shirt.
Were you inside?
Well, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I was out of the area for my daughter's volleyball tournament.
Okay.
So I had my team there, and we handed out around 500 I Love Dogs shirts.
We passed by you guys. I think we saw your group. Yeah, that's funny.
You have a great success story that happened with somebody that I don't know. Well, tell us about that.
Okay, so Darryl, I want to tell you about the lightning bolt moment that showed us that this isn't just a nice thing to do for social media, for the business, that this needed to be a 501c, a separate entity that needed to be developed. And it was that first encounter when we went to Robin's Nest in Huntington Beach, the teen group home. We were invited, pizza with puppies. It was just supposed to be a casual encounter. One of the young ladies that came, they were surprised that she came. It was a group hangout. There was a therapist there. There were a couple of counselors there. We brought the dogs. She wasn't interacting with the group. She wasn't talking to the counselors. She definitely wasn't talking to the therapist. She wasn't interacting with the other kids. And she just kind of went, it was outside in the backyard of this teen group home. And she just went and kind of sat in the corner, was kind of staring down at her phone. The counselors kind of told us discreetly that, she never interacts, with the other kids. We're just happy that she's here. And she's been coming, here for 6 months and hasn't really interacted at all. So we're just hoping, we're just glad she came for the pizza, basically. And so all the kids were on the other side of the yard, interacting with the dogs, playing fetch, and, messing around with the dogs. And it was just very odd the way Elvis, who is obsessed with tennis balls, picked up a ball, and instead of bringing it back to fetch with the kid that was fetching with him, took it, walked all the way across the yard. Oh my gosh, I feel like crying right now telling you this story. Walked all the way across the yard and put his ball in this girl's lap and sat down next to her and was still.
Gosh, I might cry.
That's really,
instinctively
instinctively, yes. And so he did that. Well, Willie is his brother, his litter mate, and he's kind of a goofy guy. And after a couple minutes, and this young lady, she never really looked up, but Elvis was just leaning on her. He's a big guy. And after a few minutes, Willie came over and he sat down next to her. Again, like neither one of them was interested in the tennis ball, which was very odd because they're obsessed. Right. The counselor was about to go over to the girl, one of the volunteers, and I just kind of put my hand on her arm and I said, you know what? Why don't we just let her be over there with Elvis and Willie? And I don't know, let's just give her a minute.
Yeah.
And she started to pet them and she was whispering in their ears and they laid on top of her. It was really interesting. And she just had this moment with them. She was a little emotional, a little teary. Some of us were getting a little teary, but not wanting her to really see.
Sure. How old was she?
She was
approximately.
She was about 16, 15, okay. 16. Then after a few minutes, she's kind of petting them. One of the kids kind of called over to her and said, hey, you're hogging the dogs. Ha ha ha. And she kind of smiled and she stood up and she got the ball and then she walked over and she sat down with the group. Wow. And she finished the session. Well, Elvis and Willie, of course, they followed her. She's got the tennis ball and a pizza crust, which didn't hurt. So in a way, the rest of the session was Elvis and Willie sitting in the group, but really like kind of flanking her, sitting on either side of her. And you could tell she was so proud and so flattered that the dogs chose her. We ended the encounter. Again, it was our very first time we'd ever even done this. And so we just thanked everybody and we left. And then the feedback we got, the emails from the counselors and from Robin of Robin's Nest herself. She said, I just don't even know how to describe how that opened her up. That started her conversation rolling. She still talks about it. This was 2 years ago. It changed her.
Right.
And it seems like, I mean, those are things we take for granted. We just live our lives with dogs, Darryl, and the dog, we're just around dogs. But somebody who doesn't have that in their life, but needs that, doesn't even know they need it.
Sure.
That's that just made it all worth it. And that's the moment when we realized this is a movement. It's not just a foundation. It's not a business at this point. This is a movement for this particular kind of special, mental health support and different kinds of interventions that we can provide to those who need it. Everybody needs it. Let's face it. I need it.
Right.
You need it. We all need it.
Well, I can't think of a higher note to end this with. That was a great, warm-hearted story.
I didn't cry. I got close. Usually that one makes me cry.
I was crying. I edited it out. I'm just kidding. No, that was a tearjerker. I mean, it was a great story. Let's tell the audience though, who want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to either support you and or get a hold of you?
We're in the community. The best way would be to check out our website, www.tgs, the Good Shepherds, right?
Spell that out. T for the,
G for the, G for good, and S for shepherds.
So TGS
foundation.
That's right.
Yes.
When you were giving me I accidentally did .com. Everybody, TGS
foundation.
Okay.
So find our website at www.T for the, G for good, S for shepherd, .foundation. .foundation is a thing. It's not .foundation.com. It's just .foundation. And you can see our website. You can see some of the things that we've done so far, some of our hopes and dreams, where we want to build a barn where we can have more animals come and work with more vulnerable groups. That's one of our dreams. You'll see that on our website. You can follow us on social media, Instagram. Foundation TGS is our Instagram handle. And you can donate, any little bit helps. It 100% goes to the kids and the dogs, the vulnerable groups and the dogs. We're all volunteers. 0% of this goes to any administrative cost or anything like that. We're here to spread the word and spread joy and make our local community a better place. One doggy at a time.
All right. Well, and I talked to you earlier, too, about having you come to our Rotary meeting too, and talked about that. So, hey, everybody, this was a fantastic podcast. I really enjoyed you telling us your stories and everything that's going on, and what a tremendous help you're doing.
My honor to be here. Thank you so much.
This is fantastic. So, okay, everybody, help them out. Go on that website, donate or hire or pass the good word along.
Spread the word. That's right.
Spread the word. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Also, check out some of our other podcasts, and please like the channel because that really helps us out. Thank you. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.